How's it going, Pokemon fans? Shane back here from JollyMonz, and this week we're going to do a little bit of expanded. San Jose Regionals is coming up soon, so I figured we'll take a look back at, sorry, English is hard. I figured we'd take a look back at some good expanded decks with San Jose right around the corner. So today we're going to look at the Garbodor Toolbox deck, I guess that's what you want to call it, that I believe it was Ryan Sablehouse piloted to a first place finish in Daytona a couple months ago. It's definitely very, that's what I'm looking for. It can handle just about any situation with all these one-ofs on the Pokemon lineup and things like that. And Garbodor is just really good. Like, when you can combine Trashalanche and Garbotoxin, it's just really good. Necrozma's a very good card. Dimension Valley is one of the best cards in Expanded. The fact they can utilize with Lysander and Guzma is very good. All sorts of things. So, without further ado, let's hit that Pokemon lineup. So, our main Pokemon here, we've got 4 Trubbish, the Tool Drop Trubbish. For a Psychic and a Colorless, it does 20 damage for each Pokemon Tool card attached to Pokemon in play. This is probably the best attack on any Trubbish, probably ever. With a Dimension Valley, it only costs a Psychic, and you just get to put some chip damage out. So it's pretty good, especially when you're using Necrozma to come put out massive amounts of damage. With that, we are playing one of the Garbotoxin Garbodor. If this Pokemon has a Pokemon Tool card attached to it, each Pokemon in play in each player's hand and each player's discard pile has no abilities. Shuts down a lot of decks, stops them from being able to Shaman, to be able to Lele, use any of their abilities that their deck relies on, such as Steam Up and things of that nature. And we're going to play 2 of the Trashalanche Garbodor. For 1 Psychic, it does 20 damage for each item card in your opponent's discard pile. This card has been nuts since it was printed, and it will continue to be nuts because it is just very strong. We're going to be playing 1 Drampa GX. Righteous Edge for a Colorless. Discard a special energy card for your opponent's active Pokemon, and it deals 20 damage. This is very good to try and slow down decks like Night March, slow down, it's another DCE deck, Mega Rayquaza, things of that nature. Berserk for 3 Colorless. If your bench Pokemon have any damage counters on them, this attack does 70 more damage. Then we also have Big Wheel GX for a Colorless, so shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 10 cards. We won't really be using Big Whale a whole lot. More often than not, we're going to be using Necrozma's GX attack, but it's there if we need it. We're going to be playing 1 Giratina promo for the Devouring Light ability. Each Pokemon Break has no abilities. This includes abilities of its previous evolution. So this helps us a lot with Greninja, this helps us a lot with Trevenant and things of that nature. Those are really the only breaks you're going to have to worry about in Expanded. It just helps a ton in both of those matchups. And we have Necrozma. Light's End ability. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from colorless Pokemon. So that's kind of good. You know, Drampa can't attack it. Lugia, if anyone's still playing that, can't attack it. I think that's about it that you really have to worry about. The Prismatic Burst is 3 colorless, deals 10 damage, and you discard all psychic energy from it, and the attack does 60 more damage for each card you discarded. You're not really going to use that too often, but it's there. In these weird situations, you might need it. We're mainly going to be using it for Black Ray GX for 3 colorless. Attack does 100 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon GX and Pokemon EX, and it is not affected by weakness or resistance. So, a lot of decks are playing a lot of EXs and GXs and Expanded. And with Dimension Valley, we get to use Black Ray for just a double colorless. So, something, say, Volcanion. They've got 2 or 3 Volcanion on the bench, a Turtonator, maybe a Ho-Oh, a Lele, whatever. You're doing 100 to all of that. It makes knocking out everything they have in play infinitely easier. So this card is insanely good and Expanded with the combo of Dimension Valley. We are going to be playing 1 Oricorio for both the Vespiquen and Night March matchup for its Supernatural Dance attack. 1 colorless for each Pokemon in your opponent's discard pile. Put 1 damage counter on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. This lets us just clean their entire board. And last but not least, 3 Tapu Lele, just for that Wonder Tag ability to search our deck for a supporter and put it into our hand, and then we shuffle our deck. Energy Drive also isn't bad. The attack does 20 damage times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. Not affected by weakness or resistance. This can help clean up against stuff that's been weakened by Necrozma or weakened somewhere else along the way. And then we can theoretically also use Tapu Cure if we need to heal all damage from 2 of our bench Pokemon. So we have a lot of GX attack variety going on here. Item-wise, our A spec is of course Computer Search. 9 times out of 10 it's going to be Computer Search. You will see Gallistopod decks playing Scoop Up Cyclone. Some decks, not many, will be playing Dowsing Machine. Typically I think that's just Turbo Dark and sometimes Night March. But we're definitely going to be playing Computer Search because there's a lot of pieces we could always use to search out. So Computer Search is our A spec of choice. We'll be playing 1 Field Blower just to help knock off like Fighting Fury Belts, Choice Bands, Life Dew for some ungodly reason if they're playing it, whatever the case may be. Get rid of pesky stadiums. 2 Rescue Stretcher to put a Pokemon from our discard pile into our hand, or shuffle 3 into our deck from the discard. Again, if we have to Sycamore early, get rid of some like say we have to discard 2 Trubbish to a Sycamore. This helps us get those back. Or we discard the Giratina and we need it again later. Necrozma, whoever. Lets us get those back. We're playing 4 Ultra Ball, discard 2 cards from our hand and search our deck for a Pokemon. This just helps us get whatever we need at any given time. It helps us get to that Garbotoxin that helps in so many matchups. Garbotoxin is just insane. 4 Versus Seeker to put a supporter card from our discard pile into our hand. This just gives us a lot of versatility to get whatever we need in any given situation. Our stadium of choice will be 3 Dimension Valley. Each Psychic Pokemon's attacks, both yours and your opponent's, cost a colorless less. This is insanely good. Let's Tool Drop attack for a Psychic. Let's Necrozma attack for a DCE. This allows Garbodor, if you need to use, it's called Acid Burn, or whatever the case may be, for a Psychic and a colorless. Giratina, for some weird reason, could cost less of attack if you needed to. Lele gets to attack for just 1 energy. This opens up so many avenues, makes our attack so much cheaper to cast. Supporter lineup, we're playing 1 Ace Rolla to put one of our Pokemon that has any damage counters on it and all cards attached into our hand. This helps set up if they say they Guzma something up and they don't quite kill it, they just put some damage on it. We can Ace Roll it back to our hand to bring up what we want to be attacking with. Or if they don't one-shot our main attacker, we can put it back into our hand to deny them prizes. Ace Roll is very good in Expanded. It's good in some Standard decks too, but it shines a lot more in Expanded. And we are playing 1 Bridget just to help us get set up on turn 1. We search our deck for 1 basic EX or 3 basic Pokemon except for EX and put them onto the bench. So we can go get Trubbishes, Giratina, Drampa, Necrozma, whatever we want pretty much. We are playing 1 Colress, shuffle our hand into our deck, and then draw a number of cards equal to the number of bench Pokemon. In my opinion, this is the best draw supporter in Expanded. This card is insane. Even if you and your opponent both have 4 Pokemon on your bench, you're drawing 8 cards. It's really good. And it shuffles them into the deck instead of discarding them, so that's pretty good too. Colress is just great. Some decks even play 2. This one's only playing 1 though, so it is what it is. We are playing 1 Delinquent to discard any stadium in play, and if you do, your opponent discards 3 cards from their hand. Delinquent is very good if you've already set up board state and you cripple their hand down to nothing. So you're forcing them to play off the top of their deck, and depending how lucky they are, that's not going to end well for them. We're playing 1 Guzma to switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. If we do, we switch our active with one of our bench. Just a way to pull up stuff for us to KO. We're playing a lot of Floatstone, so we'll have no problem retreating, and it's going to help us get some knockouts. And we are playing a Lysander just to switch one of our opponent's bench with their active in those odd cases where we can't get the retreat to use Guzma. Now we're playing 3N. Each player shuffles their hand into their deck and then draws a card for each of the remaining prize cards. And it's just one of those staple draw supporters. It's better than most of them. It also, if our opponent gets ahead, say they're down to 2 prizes, we can end them down to 2, and it gives them less options to, play the game with. We're playing 3 Professor Juniper. We discard a hand, draw 7. Again, just best all-around draw supporter for most decks. Colress is probably a little bit better, but Juniper is the most consistent. With Colress, we have to have the bench, whereas Juniper we can play immediately and just draw 7. So. Now we're playing 1 Teammates. You can only play it if your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn, but if we can play it, we search our deck for any 2 cards and put them into our hand. This card is great in very niche situations, so 9 times out of 10 you're going to Versus Seeker for it after you've discarded it early. But say they knock out one of our Garbodors, we get to search for whatever we need, whether it be a DCE, a Choice Band, a Muscle Band, computer search even. You know, we can go get the Colress, the Field Blower, get whatever we want. So this card's great. Tools, we're playing 1 Choice Band to deal 30 more to our opponent's active GX and EX. Just helps us hit higher numbers to take knockouts. 3 Floatstone to help us retreat. The Pokemon the card is attached to has no retreat cost. And it's also the best tool you can attach to Garbotoxin, just because if they Lysander or Guzma it into the active but can't knock it out, you can just retreat it back out. Garbodor has a very hefty retreat cost. Most of this deck has a very hefty retreat cost. I believe Giratina and Necrozma both also have triple retreat, so Floatstone's very important to this deck. We're playing 3 Muscle Band as well. The attacks to the Pokemon's cards attached to do 20 more to your opponent's active Pokemon. Muscle Band just helps us hit good numbers on non-EX or GX Pokemon, so playing a lot of Muscle Bands. Energy-wise, we're playing 4 DCE and 7 Psychic. DCE just helps a lot, setting up Drampa, Necrozma, Lele, etc. So we're definitely going to max out on those and just play 7 Psychic. So, anyways, guys, that's it for the deck profile. Again, this is the list Ryan Sablehouse piloted to a first place finish in Daytona to win that regional championship, which was the last expanded one, so it's a very important deck to prepare for. If you're going to San Jose, you will see a lot of this deck. Hopefully, if you plan to play it, you've already bought your tool drops, because they can be quite expensive now. But enough about the deck, guys. I'll see you when we play some games, so stay jolly.